Yeah, just looking at this thumbnail, I can tell what the video is gonna be about. So I watched Thunderbolts a few days ago, and it was pretty enjoyable. I was gonna make my own MTO series. MTO was supposed to be something where I kind of rate on things, stuff like that. And as I was making the video, I came across this video. Now, I'm sure you know who Critical Drinker is. He doesn't need any introduction. And I have seen his content before. I actually liked his content way back in 2020, 2021. I feel like his critiques were pretty good. And yeah, I thought he was a good critic until I realized that he made the same thing over and over again. And his critiques were pretty much the same thing. Like, he's a grifter, basically. And then he comes up with his recent Thunderbolts video that he kind of got a little black backlash for it. And yeah, I think he deserved it. The video was fucking bad. Basically, his entire point in the vid is that Thunderbolts is bad and cringy because it's just Marvel slop, which is what I thought when the movie was coming out. I thought, okay, it's just another generic Marvel movie, like all the 70 other Marvel shows and movies that have been made after Endgame. Keep in mind, I haven't enjoyed most of the Marvel things after Endgame. I feel like 70% of the movies and shows that have come out are just pretty mid. But, maybe like 10-20% of the movies and shows that came out are actually good. But most of the 80-70% of the things are pretty much slop. But Thunderbolts was pretty good. Like, I just don't really get his argument how he didn't like Thunderbolts. And his reasons are pretty stupid. So first goes on to say that John was like a belittled character. Like John Walker, he just gets belittled, and this implying that this is kind of like a woke film that is taking down masculinity, and John Walker is getting bullied, which, like, by the way, I don't think so. Like, John Walker is probably handled pretty well in this movie. His character development from being a hated character to a pretty much liked character is actually pretty beautiful. It's kind of like A Train or Rex Plode from Invincible. But basically, even in the movie, like what I think he's getting that point from is how the rest of the cast reacts to him. They do belittle him, yes, and they are overly critical. But each member has a preconceived notion of John as a self-gratifying murderer. His entire arc is learning to be more like Steve, to go from someone who shuts down after backlash from a situation he saw himself being right in, to a man who's willing to make us the sacrifice play and live with himself even if the world hates him. Like, that's kind of the thing. Like, his character arc is entire that. In fact, every character on like the Thunderbolts has a character arc of like getting over their trauma and getting over like their inner demons, basically. Even the main villain has the same thing. I'm not trying to like spoil the movie because again, I think you should watch it, but there isn't like a cliche thing where there's a MacGuffin plot where the characters have to go out to get a secret kryptonite that can defeat an overpowered character. It's not like that in this film. So in this film, they kind of do it in an interesting way. But I'm not going to really spoil it. Unlike this guy, you should probably just watch the movie and give it a try yourself. Like, he also calls Yelena, like, sort of basically, he calls her a strong female character and like how it's feministic and woke and that type of stuff. But the problem is that yeah, I would expect her to be strong, obviously, because she's a trained assassin. She's not a Mary Sue that got her like skills out of nowhere. Of course, she's able to take down multiple people because she's a fucking trained assassin from a very special organization. Like, she's an assassin. Like, I don't really get the hate for her, and the acting isn't that bad. Sure, the Russian accent kind of is a little cringy, but at the same time, it's not really that bad, and it makes sense why she's that strong, you know? Like, it's not something to be surprised about. It's not a Mary Sue character, but he tries to make the whole, like, woke narrative of it, I guess. Like, this fucking guy just, like, straight up lies in this video. I'm not even kidding. He literally contradicts himself in his own video. If you go back and watch the video, he contradicts himself by saying about how Valentina just magically knowing that they would be there or she was being robbed, but she set it up. she and had intel. She also had intel and she set it up. It explains both those things in the movie. So not only he lied in his own video, by the way, to fit his narrative that the movie was bad, but he just totally skipped over that part. Like, brother, she knew she was being robbed because she set it up. You do realize that, right? You would know this if you watched the movie. So after he contradicts himself in real time, which by the way, I'm kind of surprised that nobody pointed this out because he's also getting flamed in the comments. Like even the most like die-hard critical fans were like, "Yeah, this video was kind of bad. What the fuck do you mean? The Thunderbolts was good." He never really responded back, at least not that I know of. But yeah, he basically did this. And again, after this bad point that he made, just so you know that how bad the review is, about that how it has so many unfunny jokes, which it doesn't. I feel like the jokes were fine, and there weren't that many in this movie. Like it wasn't overtly done. But what do you expect from a guy that has made The Boys review, which he didn't even watch? So, for those of you who don't know, he made The Boys a season 4 review, which he didn't even watch, by the way. He admitted it in his own video. He just said, "Yeah, I haven't watched season 4." It's fine if you don't want to watch something, but then you can't review that thing. That kind of kills the purpose of reviewing. You know, when you're reviewing stuff and you have to actually see the thing before you fucking review it, like, did you forget what that word means? Do realize review is like, watching the thing and then doing a review on it. But he doesn't, and then he just reads like IMDb reviews. It is that pathetic. Like he basically becomes a text to speech AI to just make a review of a thing that he hasn't seen, by the way. And The Boys season 4 wasn't that bad. Yeah, it was the weakest out of all the 4 seasons, but it wasn't bad. Like, and he made, and just so if we can confirm that he's a grifter and he only hates on things because of views, he made videos, separate videos on the Acolyte show, like each episode, by the way. So Acolyte is probably 100 times worse than anything of The Boys. Like no matter how much do you hate The Boys, it's not even close to the Acolyte. The Acolyte makes The Boys look like Martin Scorsese film. Like The Boys show is nowhere near bad as the Acolyte, but he reviewed almost every episode. He made multiple videos on the Acolyte, so I don't know where he's coming from. But like, it's a good thing that more people are calling him out recently, and it's not just silence. He was a pretty big critic for a long time, but nobody calling him out on this bullshit. And again, he has made his own movie, which was pretty generic, and people made fun of it for obvious reasons. I'm not gonna go too deep into the film, but you can watch it on YouTube or you can watch other YouTubers talk about it. It's a very generic espionage film, which is very ironic coming from a guy that always has this attitude of like, I can do better, and your show is bad. Realize that you can make a review or a critique while being humble enough of saying that, yeah, I don't know if I could do better, but also giving constructive criticism, which is pretty valid. I feel like Critical Drinker or critics like Critical Drinker give YouTube critics a bad reputation because they basically, they're criticizing things not on constructive criticism, but basically trying to fit their own narrative. Like in his case, him trying to make Marvel movies look bad and Thunderbolts is somehow a bad movie, which it isn't. Everybody disagreed with him. Even his own fans disagreed with him, so it's not really surprising. But yeah, that's just really pissed me off. This really PMO me, or whatever the Gen Z people say nowadays. But yeah, that's pretty much about it.